One of the primary owners of Orlando's newest Major League franchise talks about his hopes for soccer in Central Florida.
Everyone really around Central Florida has embraced the team and made it their own. That's been a big part of our success.
Then we'll hear how ESPN Wide World of Sports is becoming an athletic destination.
We have a pretty strong draw from Central Florida, but our real appeal is across the United States.
But first, we'll speak with the man who brought the big leagues to our region.
Above all, I think you've got to have a passion for it. You've got to really love what you're doing.
Three Central Floridians discuss how Orlando is becoming a sports town. Next on Metro Center Outlook. Hello, I'm Diane Trees. The city of Orlando jumped into big-time professional sports in 1989 when the Orlando Magic began play in the National Basketball Association. Magic's senior vice president, Pat Williams, led the charge for Orlando in landing that franchise. Pat, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Diane. Nice to be on with you.
How did you get your start in the sports industry?
As a player in baseball, I went to Wake Forest University. I was a catcher on the baseball team and then signed with the Phillies 50 plus years ago. I spent 2 years as a minor league catcher in their farm system. And then that opened the door to getting into the front office end of baseball, where I spent 5 years operating the Phillies minor league teams. And then a big door opened. I left baseball in the summer of 1968 to go to Philadelphia as the business manager of the 76ers. And that embarked me upon a 46-year run in the National Basketball Association.
You were only 29 when you were made general manager for the Chicago Bulls. What makes a successful GM?
Well, I think first of all, you've got to have a good stomach lining. You've got to have a work ethic that's really off the charts because you're never off duty. People skills are important. Got to relate from the owners at the highest level down to the equipment manager and the ushers and the cleaning crew at the arena. So you've got to be able to work with people at all levels. But above all, I think you've got to have a passion for it. You've got to really love what you're doing and be passionate about it because there's no substitute for that.
The Orlando Magic, when you first started out, you were a co-founder for the team. What made Central Florida an appealing fit for the NBA?
Well, there were no teams south of Atlanta. I think that was part of it. So as we look back to that period of 1986, 87, 88, Miami was vying for a franchise, as was Orlando. And fortunately, the NBA owners and the commissioner's office in New York saw the wisdom of having two teams in Florida to create a rivalry, South Florida against Central Florida. They saw the wisdom of that, and they picked both of us. We didn't know that was going to happen. We kind of felt maybe they'll take one in Florida. But it was a very wise decision because over 25 years, the Magic and the Heat have had a good rivalry, and I think it can get even better in the years ahead.
What are some of the challenges you had, though, bringing an expansion team or expansion franchise to Orlando?
I think the biggest challenge was selling Orlando on the fact that they could become a major league city. That all started when I moved here in June of 1986, and for the better part of a year, we were pushing the community to make deposits on season tickets to a team that didn't exist, where there was no arena to play in, where there was no history of major league sports, and our community really responded. Made deposits on 14,000 season tickets, way in advance of ever getting a franchise. And I think that delivered a very strong, powerful message to the commissioner and to the other owners in the league.
Now, you have been here a long time. How have you seen Orlando change in terms of acceptance and support for major league teams?
Oh, I think it's very exciting, Diane, to see what's happened, not just with sports. UCF has become a major sports college program in the country, and now Major League Soccer is on the way. The Braves have their spring training facility out at Disney. And Disney, by the way, brings in every sport under the sun to stage out there. It's pretty interesting to see how all that has happened. But I think the real story is just to see the growth of Orlando, the growth of Central Florida. That's very exciting to me. Close to 60 million people will come visit our community this year. Highest rate of destination really anywhere in the world when you think about it. And every time you drive around this community, there are major construction projects going on. It's really an exciting place to live. And I kind of think, what'll it be like in 10 years or 20 years? I can't even imagine.
The Magic have been celebrating the 25th anniversary. What you see now, is it what you envisioned 25 years ago?
Well, I think that's a very good question. I think the key to good leadership is vision. And one of the things we did with the owners and with the commissioner way back was to sell them on Orlando, yes now, but more importantly, 10 years from now and 20 years from now. We asked them to stretch their imagination, to envision what was going to happen here in Central Florida. Fortunately, they were willing to do that. And I must say, I'm not sure I could envision all that has happened and this tremendous growth and this magnificent new arena that we play in.
It's beautiful.
But it's a beautiful story of what has happened, and when a community collectively pulls together, boy, you can accomplish a great deal.
You mentioned looking at long term. The Magic have had some challenges to deal with over the last few seasons. How do you view situations like that, and what do you say to fans?
Well, pro sports, Diane, is very mercurial. Up with the good times, and then you get down with the struggling times, and you're at the mercy, of ping pong balls determining where you draft, and is there a top player in that area. We've had some good fortune. In 1992 brought Shaq here. Penny Hardaway came the next year. Suddenly we were a major contender. Then they both left or had injuries, and now we go down. And then we draft Dwight Howard in 2004, and we surge upwards, and then Dwight decides to leave, and we surge downwards, and now we're in a rebuilding mode with young players, and we need some more good draft picks. But that's the nature of pro sports. Let's just call it up and down.
Mercurial is a good word,
down.
I think, for your description, right? Any advice for young people who want to start a sports industry career?
Well, the most important thing is you got to love sports and you got to follow it. And you got to know what's going on. From the time I was just a little boy, I was reading newspapers every day, and I've read every issue of Sports Illustrated since it came out in the 1950s. Yeah, I think you've got to really be a student of the game. You need to go to college and volunteer for everything. I tell young people, in the sports information area or working at the stadium, just volunteer for everything. You're not going to get paid, but boy, that experience is extremely valuable. I also tell youngsters, go get your master's degree right away. There's a great program here, the DeVos Sports Management Program under Richard Lapchick's leadership. Right. That's a hugely successful program. Go get your master's before you're 24 years of age. Get a double master's. Get your MBA while you're at it. And then the other thing I would say, internships. I would say half of our organization probably are former interns. So that's the best way I know of to get into the business.
It's not necessary then that they play a sport necessarily?
No. If you did, fine. But if you were not a college athlete or a pro athlete, right, that's not important. You got to know what you're doing, and you've got to really be a student of the game.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Diane. Nice to be with you.
When we come back, we'll learn about the area's newest pro sports franchise, Orlando City Soccer. Phil Rollins is one of the primary owners and the president of Orlando City Soccer, which is set to begin play in 2015. Phil, welcome to the show, and congratulations to you.
Thank you, Diane.
What led you to choose Orlando as an expansion franchise?
Well, we did a lot of research, and we looked all around the Southeast, and then we finally really alighted upon Orlando as a great marketplace. Good reasons why. The demographics, a very young, growing city, a vibrant city, multicultural, a city that really suited soccer and the demographics of soccer. So a perfect fit, and it's proven to be that case.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
What goes into transitioning a team from a club sport to become a major league sports franchise?
Wow, it's a big question. It's a lot of work is the honest answer. But we've got a great base. We have a great foundation, good people in our front office, a great playing staff and coaching staff. So the foundation, the basis is already there. Many of those players we hope will make the transition with us to the major leagues. Certainly our coach will. We have an excellent coach and very well qualified. And of course all our front office will be coming with us. So the foundation's really in place. We've got to build upon that, and we'll add a lot of people in the next few months, but it'll be an exciting time.
How important is it for your success to have the business sector and the community behind you?
It's critically important. It's vital for us, and we've really had that, I have to say, since the very first days in Orlando. The community has been very kind to us and very welcoming. Both the business community, our fan base, everyone really around Central Florida has embraced the team and made it their own. That's been a big part of our success.
There's been a buzz about this for a long time, so I'm sure a lot of people are very pleased to have it come along like this. Now, aside from the economic impact, what other elements do you see Major League Soccer affecting? How will it affect Central Florida?
Well, that's a good question. I think that there's many ways it will affect Central Florida. I think, first of all, is quality of life. We're a growing city, as we said, and our city deserves a second Major League sports team, and that's one of the things that we're bringing, of course. But also financial benefits, economic benefits. But we also have an opportunity here. We're marrying the world's most visited city with the world's greatest game. And I think that is a very, very powerful combination. If we do that right and we do it well, which we have every expectation that we will, then we can make Central Florida a hub for soccer, both nationally and internationally as well.
Talk a little bit, Seminole County factored into securing the successful stadium that will be built and based in Orange County.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
No, well, actually, we actually had the support of the City of Orlando, Orange County, Osceola County, and Seminole County. So it was really a regional collaboration, which is great to see. And the reason for Seminole County's involvement is that's really our home. We train, and our youth organization, our players are all based in Seminole County. Our training facilities based there. So that's really where the players and the coaches go day to day. That's their office. And we have an opportunity there to grow visitation, grow bed nights, grow tournaments, and soccer-related opportunities in Seminole County. And the support there of the political groups up in Seminole County was very, very helpful to us getting the franchise and getting the stadium developed.
Seattle, Washington has become a huge soccer town. How can we emulate that kind of success?
In many, many ways, actually. I think the whole Pacific Northwest has really taken off with soccer, so there's many lessons to be learned from both Seattle and from Portland and from Vancouver, all three of them. Portland is a very similar city to Orlando, so I would focus on that. Seattle is really a statistical outlier. They've got 44,000 people coming along to games and 34,000 season ticket holders. But that in Portland and Seattle, the teams have really captured the imagination of the people. I think that's what we've done here in Orlando. I think that's what we can build upon. And I would look for Orlando to emulate the success of both of those organizations. And I see a bright, bright future for the sport in Central Florida.
With our cultural diversity here, do you think that gives us an advantage as well?
Very, very much so. We've got people from all over the world, as you know, and everyone thinks of Orlando as home, and a lot of people coming from outside of Orlando, outside of even the United States to make this home. Many of those people have grown up with soccer as their game, as their passion, and so we've been able to capture their imagination, show them a quality product, and I think they've latched onto that, and they're excited as we are about Major League Soccer coming to Orlando.
So do you expect to have international visitors and tourists as part of your fan base?
Very much so. Let me give you one example. We recently hosted the U.S. women's national team here just a few weeks ago against Brazil. We had almost 21,000 fans for that game in the Citrus Bowl. We had 3 weeks to sell the tickets, so it was a very short time window. And it was actually the best attended women's national team game of the whole of 2013. And those 21,000 came from 38 states around the U.S. and came from 8 countries outside of the U.S. So we know that visitation is a big part of soccer and a big part of the fans' enjoyment of the game.
You mentioned infrastructure before of what you have and what the team will become. Will you be recruiting from the Orlando Lions?
We will indeed. We've got a quality team today. Many of those players we expect will make the step up with us to the major leagues. Certainly that's down obviously to the coach to to decide that. So he'll be looking closely at them in 2014 to decide which of those players come up with us to Major League Soccer. And then, of course, we'll recruit from the rest of the league, and then we'll recruit from around the world. We'll bring in the very best of talent that we can find to make ourselves competitive from day one.
I've heard you talk before that it's important to have the team, the players involved with local youth soccer leagues. Why is that so important to you?
Well, it's really part of the fabric of who we are and part of our DNA. We take our community responsibilities very, very seriously. So not just youth soccer, but also the whole community of Central Florida. We want to see our players out there, leading by example, being athletes that are responsible and showing children especially the right way to go about things, what to eat, how to live healthily, how to get off the couch and enjoy whatever sport it is and be active, and to follow their hearts and their passions and stay in education. All of those things very, very integral to what we believe as an organization and how we want to lead by example.
So what happens between now and 2015 in the kickoff? The
A
whole
lot.
world changed?
Yeah, a lot of things happen, Diane. First of all, we've got to grow our front office. We'll probably be hiring between about 40 and 45 people in key roles right across the organization. So there's a lot of growth to do there. We have a very distinct culture as an organization. I want to ensure that we keep that and we propagate that and we develop it. Obviously on the playing side, Adrian, our head coach, is going to make some very key decisions about who he brings in. And we've got to start to sell out the new stadium. Aside from that, we're going to build a new stadium. So there's a lot of things to focus on, but we've got a very capable team and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Thank you so much and best wishes to you.
Thank you, Diane.
After the break, we'll learn how one of the leading theme parks is partnering with ESPN to becoming a leading amateur sports facility. Farron Kelly is the Director of Sports Marketing for ESPN Wide World of Sports, a 230-acre athletic facility that is truly a sports destination. Welcome, Farron, to the show.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here.
ESPN Wide World of Sports, you host a variety of amateur and professional events. What kinds of competition do you have?
We like to say we can host and truly 70 different sports types out at the complex. Now, hopefully you won't make me name them all because I'm pretty sure I can't, but your traditional sports, baseball, softball, soccer, football. In our indoor facilities, we'll have gymnastics, wrestling, but we've had some less traditional sports. We do archery competitions. We'll do roller hockey. We have hosted cricket exhibitions, rugby, touch rugby. I mean, we can go on and on, but it's a pretty amazing facility, indoors and out, and really hosting sports of all types.
That's a lot of variety that you have.
Yeah.
How has the complex changed since it started out in 1997?
I think a couple big changes. One is, as the complex started, it was originally Disney's Wide World of Sports. If you remember the old Jim McKay show,
Yes.
During that time period. And as the complex has matured, our organization's really gotten a strong reputation for being an epicenter for youth sports competitions. And people know that some of the top national competitions in baseball, in basketball, in soccer are held at the Wide World of Sports complex. But the other big change occurred just a few years ago when we rebranded the complex with the ESPN name.
And how long ago was that?
It was just about 3 years ago. Became ESPN Wide World of Sports, and as our parent company, the Walt Disney Company, owns both the Parks and Resorts and ESPN, it was just a natural fit. And what we've done is we've added a broadcast facility there. We have cameramen out shooting highlights of the kids as they're partaking in these competitions, and really has taken it to the place where these youth athletes truly feel like they've made it to the big time.
What made Central Florida such a good fit for this kind of facility when things started out?
It's really a lot of the same reasons that brought Disney here. It's tremendous location, year-round weather, easy to get to, a variety of hotel offerings, and so just the kind of the natural elements are strong. And then you add to that some of the wonderful facilities we have around here with our sports complex, even the Orlando Orange County Convention Center, fantastic facility for some of the major volleyball tournaments. All those elements combined with the fact that once they're done with the activities on the field, there is so much to do off the field, which makes it the perfect location for youth sports tourism.
So a great destination to have for families and that. What's the relationship with Wide World of Sports and the Central Florida sports community?
Really, we're partnered in a number of ways. If you think about Disney has a relationship with the Orlando Magic and the Amway Center there. Disney will actually be the host in 2014 for Orlando City Soccer as they're waiting for their new facility to be built. So we're involved at that level, but then we're also involved in other ways as youth events come into the market. As I mentioned, we will utilize Orange County Convention Center or Austin Tilden Fields, various locations around Central Florida that will host additional playing opportunities for the athletes that come here. So our events just expand beyond, they aren't just located at the Wide World of Sports, but they do expand beyond those locations.
How dependent is the facility for athletes coming in for competition from out of state or even internationally?
One of the biggest things we do, we have a pretty strong draw from Central Florida, but our real appeal is across the United States. This past December, we hold Disney Soccer Showcase, which is the #1 soccer recruiting tournament in the world. There are coaches, college coaches, who are there writing scholarships on the spot as they see the top soccer players, not from just around the United States, but also we have a number of players that come in from South America, from Europe, because they know the place to get seen by college coaches is at Disney's or at ESPN Wide World of Sports.
Well, how is Orlando, with the staple of the tourist segment that we have, how do we match that with becoming a sports town?
It's an interesting aspect. I think tourism in and of itself, youth sports tourism, and I don't have this exact statistic, it's around 7 to 10% of the entire leisure tourism market. So it's a really strong piece, and some of those elements I mentioned before, as you look at the airlift and all those other elements that make Orlando such a great tourism town, just truly, in addition, make it a great sports tourism town as well, especially in the business that we're in, which is really focused on the youth athlete, bringing them here for those activities.
So a lot of synergy involved with it, the two of them.
Yeah, a ton of synergy. And just another great example is our marathons with our Run Disney event. The Walt Disney World Marathon that just occurred in January is about 72,000 registered runners come to that event. And when you think about that, they're not coming alone. They're bringing spouses, they're bringing children. So over 100,000 people coming into the Central Florida area just for that one weekend event to be involved in those races, to take part in the expos. And they're not just at Walt Disney World. They're going to other attractions in the area. They're staying at hotels and eating at restaurants off the Disney property. So it is a big impact to the Central Florida community.
How can people get involved, the public?
A number of ways. One is participate in our events. We have a number of open tournaments for youth, whether it be in soccer or in baseball. If they would go to our website, they can find out more information about some of our open tournaments. But then there's also the Run Disney events, which we literally have something for everyone. It might be a 5K race, a half marathon, or a full marathon. We have kids races. Great opportunities to get involved there as well. And we also have a strong volunteers program. We need a number of volunteers to run some of those large races and some of our bigger events. Great opportunities for volunteers who just love sports to be a part of that.
Thank you, Farron, so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you.
That's all for our show today. Visit wucftv.org/metro for interactive features, special content, and more. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.